I start by asking this question. Is it possible to live a simple life in a complex society? Today, we find ourselves caught up in a lot of complex things, from the way we think, the way we perceive things, the clothes we wear, the shoes we put on, the gadgets at our disposal, everything. We go after the complex things of life. To the point that most people think that it's almost inevitable to live a simple life. But I ask this question. Now, each and every one of us wants to live through this life, to leave behind a legacy. Someone said it so beautifully, that those that will come after us will be better than us or worse than us because of us. Now, let's go down memory lane and look at the life of great men that graced the face of earth. What did they have in common? Simplicity. They had simplicity as the connecting factor between all of them. And then what then is a simple life? A life devoid of ostentation, a life that is devoid of clutter and distractions, a life full of meaning, purpose, and determination. Let's briefly look at the life of the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I would like to quote the statement of Diwan Chand Sharma in his book, The Prophets of the East. He has this to say about the Prophet of Islam, that Muhammad was the soul of kindness, and his influence was felt and never forgotten by those around him. What influence? Was it material influence? He touched hearts by a simple lifestyle and humility. This was exemplified by everything of his life. Now let me ask you this question. Today, the name Muhammad has become a household name, but would you believe me if I tell you that he lived in a less than 10 square meter room with his wife Aisha? Peace be upon her. Less than 10 square meters, that's literally the size of your security guard's room. But the light that came from the house illuminates almost all parts of the world. Humility, simplicity. Now, I ask you this question. Would anyone remember who the richest man was in the 40s and the 30s and the 50s? Would you remember the richest man of the 60s and 70s? I bet it's going to be a difficult one. But does anyone remember the picture here? Do you know him? He died in 1948. Mahatma Gandhi, a lawyer by profession, who engineered the independence of India from the British. But what was the life of Mahatma Gandhi? Look at his. Was he dressed in a big garb or just a simple outfit? With his idea of satyagraha, that is a campaign of non-cooperation that is devoid of violence, he was able to drive the British people out of India to gain their independence. With that idea of his, it influenced a lot of people, and that gave birth to a lot of civil rights movements. Martin Luther King Jr. got his inspiration from satyagraha of Mahatma Gandhi. That is living a simple life with purpose. But again, it will interest you that the life of this individual can be captured in a single frame. All he has as a possession when he left the world can be captured in the frame that you see on the screen. This was the possession of Mahatma Gandhi that has transformed India from being a British colony to an independent nation. That is simplicity, They had no time to amass things that they didn't need to have. Such is the audacity of living a simple life, a life of less material wealth, a life of less distractions, a life that gives you more time to influence others, a life of greater influence, a life that gives you the opportunity to change the world. A simple life because you have less to care about. Imagine you having 10 houses and how you need to spend on servicing the house. Imagine just living in a simple, comfortable dwelling. Now, who remember this phrase? Nelson Mandela of yesteryears. They influenced a lot of people. They brought changes to their people. But was it all about material possession? From the picture there, you can see how simple the meaning is. Sharing with the young ones. Today, because of the complexity that we live in, you're given an opportunity to become someone in the society. You no longer find time to sit with people that are less privileged. You feel you're above people, you can't even discuss with them. But look at the likes of Nelson Mandela, whose name rings a bell in every African mind and even beyond. But look at him, he led a very simple life. And he grew up in a very modest house like this. And with all the opportunities he had in life, he never felt it to change the architecture of the house he grew in. Today, people troop in their thousands as tourists to visit where Mandela grew up in. Let's come back home. Is it possible to live a simple life? I ask this question again. Even if you're the president, you're the richest man in Africa, you're the richest man in the world. Is it possible to live a simple life without complexity in your life, without much red tapes in your life? Look at Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. He was the prime minister of Nigeria when this picture was taken. With a sugar cane, flanked by his 2 kids. That was how simple they viewed this life. Today, we pride ourselves to be from the descendants, geographically of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. But are we living that life today? Their simple life cost them their life, but they influenced a lot of people and they changed a lot of things. Then how complex is your life? How complex is my life? Today, you barely wake up and you pick up your phone. At least let me speak of myself. In the middle of the night, you wake up, the first thing I look for is my answer to grab. And when you get your answer, you look for the notifications. The more the notifications, the more artificially excited you are. Yeah, the more artificially excited you are because you think you have a lot of information to chew, a lot of things have gone by. But really, are these distractions? Why do we need all of these things? We call them weapons of mass destruction, mass communication. These are weapons of mass destruction. We get fed with information that we don't need. It makes our life complex. It makes our life complex. A lot of information that we don't need, but we keep consuming all this information. We want to be like others. We see a lot of things on the internet, Instagram, everywhere. We're competing with one another that we fail to look at the little things we have around us that will make us to live happy. Today we have suicide rates in the midst of abundance. We have depression in the midst of abundance. Why? Because a lot of people have all these things that make their lives complex. You're thinking of what to buy and what not to buy. Look at this picture. It looks exhausted, apparently. But you look at a lot of things there in front of him. He's asking himself, buy this, buy that, and that's you, and that's me. That's what we do every now and then. We keep asking ourselves, you have iPhone 6, it's iPhone 11 is out. Now you are challenging yourself to buy the latest iPhone. But you have not asked yourself, has this stopped you from communicating with people? So ask yourself this question, the inner conscience. Is material wealth determinant of my real worth or value. Because that is what we see in our societies today. We've attached so much value to material wealth that people kill to attain this status, to maintain the status, to be in the elite club. People kill, people forget their background and everything. They mortgaged everything of theirs to fit in to a society that is artificially driven. Is the latest gadget what I need? Are all these things important in my life, or is there more purpose to living than making my life complex? Look at this picture. Is it possible to live a simple life? Imagine yourself seated on that chair, lonely on a lone street, gazing at the beauty of the natural environment before you. It gives you opportunity to think, to come up with ideas, to influence others, to change. A lot of people that changed people had the habit of being in seclusion, simplicity, no complexity in their life. Now you look at it, it's all about choices. Don't tell yourself that you can live simple because of the nature of the environment we live in. It's about choices. Look at this. It's either you go this way, that way, or the other way. It depends on what you want to achieve in life. It all boils down to you. You choose to live simple. It takes nothing away from you. I remembered one of the stories that I was told, that then when they were coming to Abuja to see President Obasanjo then, that they came with this S-class, the emir that was given to the Emirates Council. And the emir asked, why? He said, because we're going to Abuja. And he said, where is the Volvo that is used to driving? He said, our wealth is not in the cars that we drive. It's in the personality that we build. That is the value of living a simple life. They could be approached. There was no red tape. Everything was made easy. So the simpler the choices, the more fulfilling and less cumbersome will the life experience be. When you go simple, you have less stress in your life. But the more cumbersome your choices are, the more challenging it becomes. Now, if we analyze our lives, we don't need more than this. This is the basic needs of life. Every one of us that is seated here, the rich amongst us, the poor amongst us, the leaders and the led amongst us, if you compartmentalize everything and you break down the complexity of what we need in life, everything fits into this. We need food, we need water, we need shelter, we need clothing. Each of these has a basic definition. A food is a food. It doesn't matter if you're eating a turkey or you are having a dry fish. It's a food. What matters is the nourishment. What matters is getting away with the hunger. A food is a food. If you can get a food, so be it. That's good, as long as it is good. You need water. You need all these things. But look at it. We spoke about life giving us opportunity to choose what to and what not to. When we take food, for example, you see a lot of people spending a lot of money. You go for a buffet, and you have different choices arranged in front of you, as you can see in the picture. But the amazing thing is that you have a plate to yourself. A lot of delicious food, but you have a plate to yourself. At the end of the day, you go back to your table with a single plate, with all the food around. Everything now comes down to a single plate. And you see the other picture. This person has gone simple. A leaf with the food inside, with his hand to eat. But the amazing thing is that everything ends in the closet. You can see the WC there. Whatever you eat, everything comes down there. Then you ask yourself, what is the final product? Do I really need to kill myself for this complex world? So we simply do not need more than the basics of our lives. And that is why the likes of Mahatma Gandhi could leave behind that little material possession. The Prophet of Islam died while having his armored shield as a mortgage in the hands of a Jew for a barley that he collected because he couldn't pay. But today, we pride ourselves to be the followers of that prophet. But he led a simple life. In my field of architecture in 1947, Mies van der Rohe came with the ideology or the concept of less is more in architecture. Less is more. Look at this large hall. If you filled it up with a lot of furniture, it takes away the beauty. And the same thing goes. Look at the facade of that building, the previous building. Look at the facade. Look at how flowery it is. You keep gazing and you're confused. What is this? But when you go less, look at this simple edifice. You don't spend time looking at it. It's simple, it's boxy. And my religion of Islam points towards the issue of simplicity. If you look at the Kaaba, even the non-Muslims can attest to that. It's just a box. Black, unity, simple. There is nothing ostentatious about it. That is to tell us that there is simplicity in everything that we do. Now, again, look at this interior space. Complexity versus simplicity. We spend a lot of money to get interior designers. We clutter our living rooms with a lot of things. Gone are the days when you enter a typical living room of a wealthy individual. You see a lot of pictures around. You see a lot of things. Everything is filled up. But at the end of the day, what happens? You know, it takes away the beauty. But when you go less, look at that picture there. Look at the living room. Can you compare it with the other living room? You're more comfortable seated there. And that is what simplicity tells us. Now, who would you like to be? You travel light or you travel with a lot of luggage? Who spends more time at the immigration desk? The person, obviously, with more luggage. You spend more time clearing and you have issues dragging everything that you have. But when you travel light, you have the freedom. You feel free, and that is life. When you go simple, you live freely. And you're not afraid of anything, and it gives you the guts to dare the status quo. But when you're complex, the complexity gets intertwined, and you find yourself confused in the complex world. The simpler you go, the simpler the life choices. Now again, I end with this. Begin the journey now. We're here to start, to walk the talk. So you begin the journey now, and we welcome you to simplicity. Enjoy the journey. Thank you, everyone.